Hi, I'm Dr. Stacia Alexander, and I'm so excited to have a special guest tonight, Tina Marie. She is the founder and owner of Profit Project, and I have her coming on because I want to talk to you guys about the psychology of profit. Yes, so we talk about the emotionality of success, and she's one of those people who have really studied finances, economic development, business entrepreneurship, really on a different wave than I've normally heard when I talk to people who are like CPAs or financial consultants. So you'll want to stay tuned for this episode and make sure that you invite your friends. So this is a special series because we're in the month of May, and May is Mental Health Month. So I'll have more episodes this month, which is great because I'm finding that people are willing to talk about their journey to success, the emotionality component of it. And that's what this platform is all about. If this is your first time tuning in, hey, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on. And all that I ask you to do is like, comment, share, tag, maybe even start a watch party, and that will help spread the dialogue. Somebody invited you here, so please invite somebody else. We just kind of step it along, if you will, in terms of getting the word out about the emotionality of success. And I talk about this because very few people highlight emotionally what it takes out of you to not only set a goal, but to develop a plan of action, to execute that plan and sustain that goal. And that's what I like doing. So thank you for coming on tonight. I've also written a book with my husband and my adult children called The Balancing Act Family Guide. And you can find links to that on Amazon or through our family Facebook page. Alexander's Balancing Act, or you can go to our website at alexandersbalancingact.com. The other thing that I do is this virtual workshop, and we're going to talk about that more later on in the show. So if you haven't already, got a few seconds before Tina Marie, the owner of Profit Project, comes on. You need to like, share, tag, and do a watch party and get this conversation started with other people because we're going to have a great conversation with her. Why? Because, hey, she's willing to open up about the emotionality of success as we talk about the psychology of profits. So welcome to the show. This is Tina Marie. She is the founder and owner of Profit Project. Thank you for coming on to Goals Don't Have Feelings. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm really thankful for this opportunity to show people how psychology and profit are intertwined when I keep talking about how all of these areas of our lives work together. So can you tell us a little bit about how Profit Project came to be and what your goal is for the business?
Yeah, so I call myself a mindset and success coach. I mainly work with multi-passion entrepreneurs. They maybe have multiple businesses or multiple passion projects, tend to run themselves in a hamster wheel and not get a lot of results done. This was me in a previous life. I'm still working on that. So I'm sharing all those strategies to actually focus and build a profitable business and a profitable business model. Okay. It all started about 4 years ago. I got into coaching. I originally thought I was going to become a CPA, do taxes for the rest of my life. And I started a bookkeeping business because I've been doing that for years while going to school for it. And I realized I don't like bookkeeping. I know.
Okay.
I don't. I'm good at it, but I just didn't enjoy it. But what I really enjoyed was working with my clients and telling them where the bottlenecks were, why they weren't getting money coming in, why they were having such a high turnover rate with their employees, all the different ways to kind of help save money. So I started off like a business finance coach. Then it kind of grew into business strategy. And about 2 years ago, I was asking myself, why am I not showing up for my business? Like, why am I not making more money? What's going on? Because I know what I'm doing. I get my clients' results. Like, what's up? And so I started delving into studying about mindset and positive psychology and all those things when it came to running a business and just even money mindset. And so that's where I am today, is helping my clients work through all that.
That sounds really comprehensive. It really does. So are you having more calls now that we're in this season of pandemic? Like, this is the first time most of us have ever had to be on lockdown at this level. Are you getting more calls now from people wanting to start their business?
Yeah, so I used to just work with business owners who are already established, but I'm definitely getting more questions, more people who are wanting to work with me because now they are ready to start businesses. They're realizing that their jobs aren't always, stable. Even in a good economy, something like this, a global pandemic, can totally knock you out of the waters.
Okay.
And something that you think is a stable industry may not always be stable in something like this. So I'm getting a lot of people who are willing to start their businesses now, still looking for jobs, but really are like asking all the questions like, how do I create a website, or how do I even start to sell products and those things?
So, one of the things that you mentioned was making sure that maybe their industry is no longer stable as it was before. The last economic turn that we had about 10 years ago, my business nearly collapsed, owning the counseling practice, because everybody just kind of cut off that service, mental health. But this time around, I'm busier than I've ever been, probably in the last 5 years, because now we're more digitally comfortable. And so the work that I did over the last 10 years to really grow the business in a different direction is now manifesting. So when you work with people, what are the things that you see emotionally that people are dealing with when they try to start a business? Like for somebody that's starting out, what do you see them going through or experiencing emotionally?
The top three things that I really see is they're working through imposter syndrome. And if you don't know what imposter syndrome, I'm sure you've told your audience what this is, but it's, no matter how successful you are or how well educated you are in your field and how many achievements you have, you still feel like someone's going to come up and be like, you're a fraud. Like you're going to be found out as a fraud. And so a lot of people starting their businesses, whether they've been doing that for years and actually transitioning into a business, or starting a new business, like let's say they were a nurse and decided they really love photography and want to start a photography business. They still have that kind of imposter syndrome, like, can I really do this? I have been doing this for a very long time, owning a business. And even I had that kind of thought process before I got my own coach. And then the other one is a money mindset. Okay. It is this definitely particular for women, but we tend to undercharge our services and give a lot more for free.
Now, you know what? We can pause on that. I'm just going to say we can pause on that, because I had to get a coach to walk me through that. And I've been in business for 20 years, but actually working with a coach, I didn't realize that I was in that particular, is it a phenomenon? Like, I don't even know what to call it.
I don't know what to call it, but I do believe it's the money stories that we have. So I had to learn this for myself because I was undercharging for the longest time. And I was doing one-on-ones for the longest time. I'm just now finally getting everything. Like last year, I did a lot of studying about different business models. And now I finally have positioned my business to where it's scaling and it's going to grow instead of doing a one-to-one model. Because a one-to-one model, regardless of how much you charge per hour, you have to work in order to make money. And back then in my one-on-one sessions, I would do like hourly sessions and I would charge like only $99. I've had 17 plus years of business experience. I went to school for it. And then I've been studying for mindset work. And I even went to school for coaching. So, I graduated from coaching school. So I should be charging more. Should be charging more. And so what I've learned for a lot of things when it comes to money mindset, it all really depends. Everyone has a different money story, but we all ultimately undercharge because we feel like we can't be charging that much. We feel like we can't ask for more. It's like greedy to ask for more. And then whatever money stories we have growing up, whether it's about saving or it's about spending a lot of money. Some people can charge just as well, but they'll end up spending all their business money. And at the end of the day, they don't have any profit. And at the end of the day, they don't have money for taxes. So definitely money mindset's a huge thing. So the most common when it comes to under earning is a lot of people aren't comfortable with selling themselves or charging more, charging what their value is.
Right. And then, so what's the third one? You said 3. It was.
So I said imposter syndrome and money mindset. And the big thing that I learned is a lot of people don't know how to transition from an employee mindset to a CEO mindset or a business owner mindset. Mainly with school and then a lot of our careers, we're trained to get directions on what to do. Like we can't just sit here and think out of the box and take risks. Very few companies and very few leaders and managers will allow that. But when it comes to a position, regardless of what you're doing, it's like, this is exactly what needs to be done. And then you follow that. And so when people get into the business owner mode, they get afraid to take any risk, even if it's a calculated risk, because they're not sure. It's like, well, is this going to work? And the thing about business anybody, even if you're in the same industry, one business, like let's say one business coach and another business coach may have two completely different business models and may be successful in two different ways. So there's not like one particular success formula for everyone, but we can definitely learn from other people that have been before us and cultivate something that works for us.
You know, that's good. I can appreciate you sharing that information. It helps to hear it. Like, you may have even read it before, but it helps to hear it again and again. Like you were talking about the imposter syndrome. When I talked to a group of ladies that I coach into private practice, I said, at some point, you're going to second guess yourself. That's okay. Just deal with it. But so those were excellent tips for new business owners, but that will also help seasoned business owners as well. Don't you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know business owners who, like, I've known some real estate agents who've been in the business for like 10 years and are successful, but they have been too afraid to step into the next level, like starting their own brokerage or expanding or leaving their teams. And that is a form of imposter syndrome. You know, I hear stories like that. And there comes a time where you might get comfortable in your business. It's like, okay, I'm making decent money. I can pay the bills. I could take some time off. But if anything that shows us, especially with Corona, that shows us we can't get too comfortable because you just never know what's going to come around the corner.
You really don't. And I remember the before the first economic turn, the business was doing really, really well. And my accountant actually asked me, why aren't you spending more money? Like, you're making all of this money. Why aren't you spending more? And I was like, because it could be gone at any time. And that's where you talk about the money messages that we have, right? Because I grew up where my parents made really good money, but their money mindset was such that we spend it all. So when we had a hard time, the lights were getting shut off or the cars were getting repossessed, you know, and it was like stupid stuff. So I get to this point and my accountant looks at me and says, why aren't you spending it? I'm like, because it could be gone at any time. And sure enough, within a year of that conversation, everything dipped and we had to use that money to save the business. Like, so many group practices just fell apart during that time. So I can appreciate everything that you're saying and really applying it as a seasoned business owner, but also helping new business owners understand what that would mean for them to use this information that you're talking about, the psychology of profit.
Yeah.
That's
good. A lot of people don't think about that. And another thing is we're always thinking about right now, especially when we're starting new. You know, I see it all the time. I even saw it myself is we see everyone's like, you can make 6 figures in 6 months, but none of those people are telling you that they have been failing business after business for 6 years and learned from those mistakes.
Right.
And found something that worked for you. So a lot of times we see people being super successful and we're so ready to be over there that we miss the basics and building the foundations of right now that, yeah, maybe in 6 months you can hit 6 figures very easily, but we're too busy looking over here. Then like, what can I do right now to get to that point?
Right. And so for you, what have you seen in and of yourself emotionally, the ups and the downs of being an entrepreneur and handling a business? Like, you're the face of the business, but you also have to make sure all of these things are happening behind the scenes. Like, you know, the ducks underwater, the feet underwater. How are you handling that emotionally?
Right now, it's kind of crazy. I'm ready to onboard a person because with me running 3 businesses, there's only so much you can do. And there's only so much money you can do. Make by yourself. Like, there's no business that can grow just by yourself. But for me, entrepreneurship has been a roller coaster. But no one really talks about, like, there are going to be weeks where you're going to work 60-hour weeks or 60-hour weeks because you're about to do a launch or you're about to put up a new product or service out there together. And no one's really talking about the hours you put in studying. Like the marketing, studying about sales, studying about, you might be great at sales, right? Sales and marketing, but you may not be great at bookkeeping and admin work. And in the very beginning, when you're bootstrapping and doing it by yourself, you may not have the money to hire someone. So no one talks about how you kind of have to get over that hump of it's the glamour of entrepreneurship or the glamour of being a business owner. It's like, yes, there's high risk, but there's high rewards. And it's not where you can just go for 40 hours a week and get a paycheck. It's one of those, you may not see the fruits of your labor for a couple months, and that can be hard on some people.
Yeah, emotionally. That's what I was thinking. It's draining.
It's draining.
Like, some of that is draining. And when you don't see an immediate return on it, it can get the best of you. That's interesting. I mean, I don't know why I'm saying it's interesting, because I know that's what happens, but to actually hear you talk about it, a 60-hour work week, that's going to affect your mood. I don't care what anybody says, like, that's going to affect your mood. So some of the things that I like to do when the guests come on, or one of the things that I like to do, is engage in free thought. And one of the words you really have highlighted, kind of really highlighted it, is mindset.
Yeah.
And so the other word is hustle. What do you think when I say the word hustle?
So when I think of the word hustle, it's like my lifeline. I've hustled my whole life, but
Okay.
I also, I'm switching the phrasing because, neuro-linguistic programming and mindset, this is the type of person. I don't mind hustling, but it has to be strategic. It has to be working smarter, not harder. There's no sense in working 40, 50, 60-hour weeks when we're not being productive. So maybe for the first month, I'm working 40, 50, 60-hour weeks to implement my business structure. So I'm automating a lot of things. So later I don't work 40, 50, 60-hour weeks. You know what I'm saying? So when I hear hustle, it actually lights a fire under my butt, but that's the type of person I am. I'm like very massive action. But you know how everyone's like hustle and grind? I like to switch grind with flow.
Hustle and flow. Okay.
Hustle and flow. Like, I want to be in alignment. I want to be in flow with things coming to me. So when I work and take massive action or hustle, it's actually producing results.
Okay. I can remember a while back, we had a dialogue about hustle, and I have such a negative association with that word that one time my cousin said, I need to get in on that hustle that you have. And I went completely off on him. I said, this is not a hustle, dude. Like, I went to school for this for, years. It took me 12 years to get my doctorate. Like, this is not a hustle. This is my life's work. But when I listened to you and how you describe it, I realized that, okay, so I went to school and I obtained all of this education. And now it's time to hustle in order to spread the dialogue and spread the message of what I've been going to school for, and to execute those services. And so that's where the hustle and flow comes from, because there is a harmony with this. Like, I feel totally in sync. You think that's a good description of the two connotations of it? Okay. Because I had never thought about that. Well, like, why I knew why I was offended by what he said, but when I read it in your literature about the hustle, I was like, oh, I want to talk to her about that.
Yeah, well, so to me, hustle is not a bad word, but to you view it. Everyone's going to view it in a different way. Because to me, hustle is just about working smart and working hard. So you going to school for however long and starting your business and helping clients. To me, that's hustle, but that doesn't mean it's like a bad hustle.
Right. I just associate it with criminality,
Yeah.
But when you talked about it, I realized, okay, no, I was hustling and hauling tail for all that time to get to where I am. So I'm glad I read through your literature. I can tell you that. So maybe I'll go back and apologize to him.
And something came up to me when you said, I need to get in that hustle with you. I think also there's a negative connotation of, and this is just in general, I've seen it with a lot of people. And when people are like, oh, can you help me do this? It's like, no, I worked really hard to get here. Like, you can't just walk up in this and just be successful. Like, you're going to have to put the work in. So I think that also comes off for a lot of people when they think like, oh, can you get me in on that? It's like, yeah, but you're going to work from the bottom. You're going to learn from the basics and not walk your way up, because you're going to appreciate it more.
Exactly.
It's going to be your own thing.
Yeah. And it won't be something that you're doing just to get money. So yeah. Okay. So the next word is pivot. When I say pivot, what do you think?
I'm tired of hearing that word. That's what comes up to my head. Oh man. If you had asked me a month or 2 months ago, I would have thought about that Friends scene where, have you watched Friends, where who was it? Rachel and Chandler and Ross were trying to move that's what I think, pivot. But now that I hear pivot, I just want to scream, because it's overused right now.
Okay.
But in anything in the pivoting, to me, it's, I like to use the word resourceful.
Okay.
So instead of like just pivoting, to me, it's like, how are you being resourceful? How are you managing what you can do right now? So what can you control? Okay, right now your brick and mortar is shut down, but what can you do to still bring in money and help people? There's a lot of people who have been really successful in that have used their current tools or current industry to change.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've heard about distilleries now switching to make hand sanitizer.
I did see that.
You know, a lot of people who sew for fun are making masks and donating them, especially for medical people, but maybe they're selling it on the side to make money so they can make more masks for, you know, it's thinking outside the box.
Right.
So that's, you know, and the thing about pivoting is you don't have to wait for a giant global pandemic or a recession or a crash.
Mm-hmm.
You should be thinking like this as a business owner consistently. You should be looking at what might happen in the year, like look at the news and the trends. And I don't care what industry you are, there's always something to glean in the news. Like, don't look at the bad stuff, but look, it's like, okay, well, if green companies are starting to be more successful in the stock market, is there a trend with everyone being economically clean? So how can you get in on that? So where do you see that happening? Like the cannabis industry, a lot of people had seen this trend coming right now years ago, so they positioned themselves to be available for that.
Right.
And another thing that kind of I don't know if, what was that movie? Why can't I think of it? It was Catherine. She was the mathematician for NASA.
Oh my gosh, if you had said it. I'm thinking but I think that's because you just said cannabis.
I know. No, but the movie, the mathematician Catherine.
The computers. I remember they computed.
Yeah, one of her people in the movie, they talk about in her department, she went to the library and stole that book and she learned all about
everything.
Pretty much the coding to learn back then. And she taught all her people because she knew that there was going to be a position change, that they were going to be obsolete, and she wasn't going to, you know, so you got to kind of have that mindset, especially as a business owner, and not just think about how you can make money right now or in 6 months. Like, how can you position your company to still grow and be relevant in a year or two?
And, you know, and like, that's where I am now with my business, because, you know, the last few years I've been doing virtual therapy and reaching out to people and talking about it. And now we get a call mid-March that says everybody has to shut down. And immediately I just switched all of the clinicians over to a virtual format, got to schedule and close down the office. And we've had more referrals now than we had on a daily basis before the pandemic. So I can appreciate what you're saying if people will just open their eyes and, you know, dig out of the hole. Another thing that you talked about is thinking outside of the box. And I tell people all the time, my thinking outside of the box is not an assault on your limited thinking. I do what I do because I'm like you. I want to make sure that I have, and I call them different revenue streams. I especially coach my counselors through that, is that you have to have different revenue streams or you're going to get caught with your pants down. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So that makes a huge difference. And I love this conversation. I guess I could talk about this forever, the psychology.
I know, me too.
Like maybe we should have taken this offline because this is really good. And I think people need to understand that it's not just about having a good product. Like my son is a marvelous graphic artist. And I had to tell him, dude, it's not just about you sitting up drawing. Like we have to get this out there. We have to reach out and touch people. And my daughter, she's a photographer and a writer. But, you know, everything on your computer, it has to be out there some kind of way. So this
you mentioned something that triggered another mindset thing that I should mention for a lot of people is a lot of us are creators. And I think for a lot of people who are creatives, it's really hard for them to charge more or even put themselves and market that because they're so passionate about what they do, right? It's not really about making the money. So they can't reconcile that, okay, you're a business owner, you need to like pay the bills. You can still get paid for your passion and do well, and it's okay. It's
I'm gonna be a sound bite. Say
biggest, you know, it's just an exchange of value. You are giving this piece of art as a graphic design to help either a business owner promote themselves, as a photographer, whether you're a wedding photographer or a portraiture photographer or doing landscapes. You are you're capturing a beautiful moment in life that is important for them. Portraiture photographer, you're making someone look good and professional that they can use and make money off of. Exactly. And then what was the other one? Like landscapes. People love landscapes. It's calming. So you're giving value, and then value exchange for that is you getting paid. So you can pay your bills and you can feed yourself and take care. There's nothing wrong with selling your passion.
No,
It's not about selling. It's about you're solving a problem for someone. That's what my coach says all the time. You're solving a problem for someone. And so I have that embedded in my head, and I like to teach my clients that too.
That's excellent. And so every year I hold this virtual workshop called August Accountability. And within that workshop, we talk about 4 levels that I think or have figured out over the last 20 years of practice. If we can get high levels of accountability in those areas, then we can have a greater level of peace. And last year in the professional quadrant, I asked the ladies to write a letter to themselves. Whatever age you are now, write a letter to yourself at the age of retirement and explain to yourself what you were doing now to ensure you had, or what are you doing now that dictates what level of quality of life you'll have in retirement. And that was really to get them to think about the future. So what would you tell people that you coach in terms of what you're doing now versus where you want to be?
I know I already have this vision because I'm the type of person that's a big vision person. I would love to grow my coaching business to where I get to train other coaches, my methodology, and they be able to help more people.
Okay.
And I'm going to be creating books and stuff like that. I wanted to create it in a way of I can grow the company, but it's not always me. Does that make sense? It's not always me sitting there. And I don't want to limit myself to reaching out to people. So right now in the next year or two, I'm positioning my business to grow to where I'm taking less one-on-one clients and more like group coaching clients and teaching in memberships. That way, because I'm an introvert, I pour a lot into my clients. So when I have lesser clients, I can pour more and pay attention to them, but still be able to pour into myself and take care of myself.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Because you don't want to get to retirement and be worn out.
I would love to retire at 40 and I'm 35. I doubt that's going to happen.
And you know what? But go ahead.
I was like, but that doesn't mean I'm not financially free. So to me, retirement's not necessarily not working.
Exactly.
I don't see myself as that. So if I get to the point where I'm financially free and let's say I can sell my business or I'm able to walk away from it a little bit more, is I would love to do more philanthropic stuff. That's like really core of who I am and my personality. And my 3 biggest passions are poverty, fighting poverty, education, and childhood hunger. So if I can like build foundations or somehow be involved in some companies like that to help combat that or improve those situations, that's really how I see myself. I'm still working in retirement.
Yeah, that's how I see myself. It really like the first wave of life or adulthood was, family and parenting and stuff. Now we're in the empty nesting phase, and that's when I really kicked it into high gear in terms of broadening what I do. But it's been really good talking to you. You can tell me too quite a while. Can you tell the audience how to find you so they can follow you on social media and get in contact with you when they want more questions answered?
Yeah, so you can find me at profitproject.co. It's .co, not .com. And you can book a free 30-minute like coaching session with me. It's called a discovery call. So you can just go to profitproject.co/discovery call. I mainly hang out in Instagram, and definitely you get some behind the scenes in the Instagram stories. You may see me with my hair up in a bun, no makeup, but I'm really real with my audience and they seem to love that. And on Facebook at Profit Project Co. So either Instagram or Facebook at Profit Project Co.
That's excellent. Thank you for coming on the show, Tina Marie. We worked through all of the technical stuff. We got it done.
We did.
Well, you enjoy the rest of your day. I appreciate you coming on for this episode of Goals Don't Have Feelings.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much.
It's great. Have a good evening. Thank you for joining us. That was a great interview. You guys could see that I could probably talk to her for quite a while. It's interesting the way the neurons were firing in my head with all of these questions that I wanted to ask her. So make sure you go follow her on her social media platforms. She gives fabulous content. It was just really good researching and preparing for this interview. And after you follow her, make sure you're updated on my social media channels and then go like the YouTube page. I'm posting all of these interviews to the YouTube page, trying to build my subscriptions on there. So if you subscribe, make sure you hit the bell and it'll notify you when I load up another video. You guys, thank you for engaging in the conversation today. We're going to continue this dialogue and make sure that we work really hard to remove the stigma of mental health, basically talking about the emotionality of success. And we can help spread this message. Each one of us, ask somebody, call someone, how are you doing emotionally? Really, how are you feeling right now? And not just engaging in surface and shallow conversations, but truly sincerely asking someone, how do they feel right now, especially with everything going on. So I'm Dr. Stacia Alexander, America's #1 success therapist and your host of Those Don't Have Feelings. You guys take care.